Right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Garcia, and I'm one of the city organizers of this year's James Walk Toronto. And this is my colleague, Juan. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to make and taste this delicious baked goods that the George Chuvalo Center, the team there, our friends there are going to be doing for us today. I would like to start this meeting by honoring the land that we're on, which has been the site of human activity since time immemorial. It is the traditional territories of the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River First Nations. Ontario is covered by 46 treaties and other agreements, and home to many Indigenous nations from across Turtle Island, including Inuits and Métis. These treaties and other agreements, including the Dish with One Spoon, One Spoon Belt Covenants, are agreements to peacefully share and care for the land and its resources. Other Indigenous nations, Europeans, and newcomers were invited into this covenant in the spirit of respect, peace, and friendship. We're mindful of broken covenants, and we strive to make this right with the land and with each other. We're all treaty people. Many of us have come here as settlers, immigrants, newcomers in these generations or generations past. We recognize the many nations of Indigenous people who presently live on this land, those who have spent time here, and ancestor of this land known as Turtle Island. We recognize and support the United Nations Declarations of the Right of Indigenous People and the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action. I would like to introduce you and also welcome Julia Gonzalez, the Director of Operations at George Chuvalo Neighbourhood Center. Welcome, Julia.
Hi, we're so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you join our festival.
Thank you. So we are the George Chuvalo Neighbourhood Center. We're in the Junction Triangle in Toronto's West End. George Chuvalo is a site of a larger agency called Christie Ossington Neighbourhood Center, which is a multi-service nonprofit providing shelter, transitional housing, children's programming, youth programming. We do quite a variety of services and programs in the West End of Toronto. George Chuvalo is our favorite site. We focus on children, youth, and families, and we have a special focus on LGBT plus communities who are underserved in the West End of Toronto, and so we have a special focus on those communities. And we are in the kitchen, loft kitchen at George Chuvalo today. It's a social enterprise that has been running for about 7 years, has been struggling for 7 years, and we're happy to be in a beautiful new space with a beautiful new supervisor who is Mar Sanchez, who's going to walk you through making some butter tarts today. So I'm going to pass it over to Mar.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's really nice to be part of this James Walk. I've never done an online class, so bear with me as we do this together. I've been part of the George Chuvalo Community Center now since October. And so I'm happy to show you how to make butter tarts today. It's a really easy recipe, and it takes a few ingredients. So I really want to get right into it because I really want to get questions and get everybody's input around the time that the butter tarts are actually in the oven. So if you have any questions, please send them to the chat, and then we'll be able to get them all together for the time that the butter tarts are in the oven. So starting the dough, it's really easy. I'm gonna put everything basically in the mixer. So we're gonna start with 2 1/4 cups of flour. And I'm gonna start with the salt. So that's gonna go all in together, and I'm gonna put it right into the mixer. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do. I'm gonna do the dough with you guys together right now, but I do have some dough that I prepare ahead of time because the dough does need an hour for chilling. But again, we're still gonna be able to do everything together step by step. So while I have the flour and the salt mixing in the mixer, um, I'm using a globe mixer whisk so that way it gets all the salt and the flour in together. Um, and just it takes about like 5 minutes just so that way it gets all in. And at the same time, I'm just gonna add the butter. So while it's whisking, I'm gonna stop for a quick second, and I'm gonna switch the globe, this guy right here, to the paddle. And the paddle is easier for the dough uh, or like pie crust, anything kind of like that. Oh, thank you, Julia, very much. And I will add a cold, so we're adding 8 tablespoons of unsalted cold butter right into the flour mixer. Today I'm not wearing a mask, but me and Julia have been distancing, and we both are vaccinated. Thankfully, through the through the Christy Ossington Center, we were able to get vaccinated. Okay, so then we're gonna keep going with the flour and the butter, and I'm gonna bring it up to medium speed. That way it gets all crumbly and it gets all mixed in together. And while that's going, we're gonna use a mixing bowl. And then we're gonna combine our wet ingredients, which is 3 tablespoons of cold water. We're gonna use 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Oh yeah, what's up? Oh, okay. So if you have pre-made dough, you actually need to let it sit at room temperature for about 20 minutes. So that way it gets softened and you're able to roll it out a lot easier. Yes. That's that answer your question? Um, and then, so I guess while this is going off, and if you want to take out your dough and let it sit, we're still gonna be rolling some dough on here, so you can start maybe trying to prep your dough as we're rolling our dough together. Okay, I'm gonna continue with the wet ingredients. So I've added the water, so it's 3 tablespoons of water, and I've added the 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and as well I'm gonna add 1 egg. And these are gonna be our wet ingredients. And I'm gonna whisk this all together. And now this can actually be added right into the flour mixture and the butter. And then you can add it slowly. I add about half of it at a time and just kind of let it go. And you start seeing it look kind of like a crumble texture. And I will add more. Keep it going. And I always like to add a little bit of extra water on the side, just in case. Everybody's temperature in the kitchen is differently. So sometimes the dough might be a little bit wet, a little more dry. So I like to adjust my water just by seeing it. If there's a lot of dry patches, I like to touch the sides of the dough with more water, just kind of rolling it out, adding a little more water until it's easy to start folding over the dough. All right, I finished adding all the water and the egg. And I think for mine, I'm gonna have to add a little more water. So I'm gonna add about 1 more teaspoon to a tablespoon. And I'm gonna add it right into the bowl with the mixture so it gets everything out and we don't waste anything. And you're gonna keep it going. It's funny, like if you keep it going, the dough would actually start kneading itself, and it'll start combining itself. You add a little more water. So this will be our 4th tablespoon of water added to this. And I'm gonna bring the speed of the mixer up just a tiny bit, so everything starts combining and mending in together. I'm gonna show you shortly what it's supposed to be looking like. Um, so this is what I have right now. So my dough texture is looking very crumbly. If I lift it up, it should look like this. And then if you see, if you start pressing it, it actually starts combining into a ball. And this is what we're gonna use into a ball, and then we're gonna let it chill for an hour. So right in the bowl, you can start combining it with your hand. Yeah, no, it says that. I'm putting 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. If you do not have apple cider vinegar, regular white vinegar works. Okay, so now that I have it all into a ball, I look at this, and I'm just gonna knead it. Sorry, my tail is a little bit unstable, so I'm just gonna bring it to the table on the side. And sometimes it takes a little bit of elbow grease to get it going. So I'm sorry about that. And this is what you want the dough to start looking. And then you can press it down into like a little round disc. Like this. And I will cover it with saran wrap or plastic wrap, and then just put it in the fridge for about an hour. So that way all the gluten gets worked in and it absorbs all the butter, and the butter also gets time to harden up a little bit. And I'll show you the end result. So I have made some pre-made dough that's been sitting now for over an hour. And I rolled mine into a ball, but because I made this morning fresh, it's still a little bit soft. So for those people who pre-bought the kit, again, let it sit for 20 minutes. So that way it softens the dough and you're able to roll it out a lot easier. So I'm just gonna put this into the dishwasher super quickly. I'll be right back. So while that's washing, we're gonna get rolling this dough. And I'm gonna use a mold to cut my dough. and that way it fits into a 6 mold for muffins. It's just like a regular muffin cup. And make sure that you are greasing this. And another point is make sure that your oven is preheated at 375. That's the perfect temperature to cooking butter tarts because you want that caramelized top crunchiness around the dough. So yeah, so we're gonna grease this guy up. We're going, and we're gonna put this to the side for now. And then we're gonna start rolling out the dough. Thank you, Julia. I think I might just have to use this table again. And then I roll it about this thin, so it's just about a 1/4 inch. And then you can start punching the holes in it. So I punch about 3 holes into it, and I re-roll it, and then get the other 3 rolls. And now, while this is going, while we're starting rolling this out, I'm gonna start doing the filling for the butter tarts. So I actually have pre-rolled the dough tarts over here, but I am going to still stretch out the size enough so that way they fill in the muffin cup. And I'm going to let it sit in the cup for about 10 minutes. So that way the butter is softening it up into the mold, and there's not a lot of air bubbles in the mold, in the butter tart, sorry. And I just fit it right in. And give them a little fold right around the edges. And I can come around and show you closer. You want them to look kind of like this while folding the edges around. Just give it a little dimple. So I roll mine to about 1/4 inch to start off. So I'm gonna come around closer to show. So I started off about this thick, and then when I finish rolling it off, it kind of doubles the size. So this guy will be the end product that you're gonna put right in the cup. No worries. All right, so yeah, we're gonna fill this out, and then we're gonna let him sit here in little chairs for about 10 to 15 minutes. And that's gonna make the dough get super crispy and flaky when it comes out of the oven. So they should look like this once they're finished. I'm gonna come around one more time. And then we're gonna let them sit again for 15 minutes. While this is doing, I'm gonna get the bowl from the dishwasher. And we're actually gonna use the whisk again because we're gonna actually make the filling, and you want it to be nice and fluffy. So in here, we're gonna put all the wet ingredients. but the butter we're actually going to melt. So while this is whisking, the butter is going to be melting. For butter wise, we're going to use 57 grams, so about 4 tablespoons of butter. And it's going to go here. It's unsalted butter. And then we're just going to melt it on low because you don't want it to be super, super melted. You want it just to be enough that it's not separated. And for the filling, we're going to use 2 large eggs at room temperature. Oops. Oh, no. No shells. Second one. Just right in. We're also going to use a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. We're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, regular white vinegar also works. And the last thing we're going to add is the maple syrup. So while this is whisking, the butter's going to be melting. And you want to make sure you get those eggs really fluffy because the sugar in the eggs is actually going to rise right to the top and it's going to give you that crystallized top to the butter side. So we really want to make sure that we beat the eggs and then make them really fluffy. And I'm going to check on the butter. Okay. And while this is going, I'm going to start adding the maple syrup. And again, I'm using a 1/2 cup of real maple syrup. I know some people like to use cornstarch, corn syrup. I prefer maple syrup. It does give it a better flavor, and it just feels a lot more authentic. And I add it in slowly to the egg and brown sugar combination. Okay. Now we check on the butter again, and it's good to go. And again, you don't want the butter to be extremely boiling hot because it is going to cook your egg. You want the egg to be cooked in the oven with the sugar so that way it doesn't split and they don't get kind of like scrambled eggs. That'd be kind of good. So yes, don't do that. And then we're going to pour the butter right into the egg mixture. And then we're gonna add it very slowly. Very, very slowly. You don't want it to be cooked while it's mixing. And you want it to get super, super creamy. Like almost like frothy right at the top. Yeah, that. And I'm actually gonna pour this into a clear pitcher so you can see what the mixture is supposed to be looking like. So it almost looks like a caramel color. I'm gonna give you a close look, and it's super bubbly, super frothy. It almost looks like a caramel sauce. That's what you want it to look like. And then you can pour it right into the tarts. Yep. You can actually add raisins right after you fill them up. You want to make sure that you add raisins on the top because they'll start sinking in once it starts bubbling. So you want them to get a little bit of a crunch on top of the raisins, and then they'll start kind of falling into the butter tart. And they'll start cooking once they're in there. Same with the pecans. If you want to add pecans, you can add the pecans right around now. So I'm going to come around one more time. And I'm going to show you what it's supposed to look like. So they're nice and frothy, and then you can just drop your raisins. So I will add about 5 raisins per butter tart. And you can have a bite of raisin every bite, basically. And then we're just going to go ahead and pop these guys right into the oven. So because we have an industrial oven, I was going to cook a lot faster. So I will basically cook this for, at home, I will give them about 25 minutes to 30 minutes to cook in the oven. Because we do have an industrial oven, ours are going to cook in about 15 minutes. So in those 15 minutes, if anybody has any questions, we can answer. If you guys want us to talk about any topics about the center and what we do, now's the time to answer any questions. And Julia's going to be also here me answering any of those questions too. This is a really easy recipe. Actually, I copied it from one of my old chefs. I'm actually from Hamilton, Ontario, and I work in the industry in Hamilton for about 7 years. I've done anything from coffee shops to working in fine dine restaurants, but this working at the George Chuvalo Center has been super, super amazing, and then changed my whole industry experience. And I've been really, really able to work with such an amazing team here. Julia, Lisa, Tess, Ian, everybody has been super welcoming and super friendly. And I'm sure that a lot of you have seen their friends when you guys come into the coffee shop. Also, Julia has super great, trying to manage what we're going to do this summer with the summer camp. Do you have anything input about the summer camp you want to put in?
I'm gonna see if they can put you on. Hey everybody, thanks for taking part so far. I'm sure you're making amazing butter tarts at home. Mars look and smell really great. So we wanted to let you know what was going on with us this summer. COVID related, we have not been able to confirm the number of kids in camp, but we are hoping to run our summer camp. We currently have our youth programs running online Thursday and Friday evenings, and we'd like those to come back in person when it's safe to do that. We're also about to start employment training as well as wraparound support programming for LGBT plus folks on OW. So it's sort of a new chapter of our previous employment training that we are starting again, specifically for folks on OW. And if you know people who would be interested in that, we would be happy to pass you to the right staff. So we are in the Junction Triangle neighborhood. This is the childhood home of George Chuvalo, who is the famous Canadian boxer, after whom the center is named. The community petitioned to have the center named after him when they knew it was coming. He's a very special soul in this community and revered and loved. Hopefully George is out there. George is, as far as I know, not living here anymore, but he does visit the center. with some regularity. And you can look up lots about George Chuvalo online. He's a very famous Canadian boxer, and he's got quite a tragic personal story that a lot of folks really have related to. And he's done a lot of work in high schools and in sort of youth venues to talk about the dangers of addiction and how to work through those challenges. Happy to answer any questions folks have. I don't mind continuing to talk either. Thank you, Zara, for that lovely comment. We're so happy to be here. The center opened just about 3 years ago. We had a grand opening. We were here for a year and a half, and then COVID hit, and we had to retract quite a bit in terms of our public-facing work. But we have been running, because of Loft Kitchen, we have been able to stay open in food service for this whole time, and are looking forward to expanding again when we're ready. How much time do we have on our butter tarts, Mark?
About 6.5 minutes.
Okay. I guess what else I could say, sure. So a question about Loft Kitchen. So Loft Kitchen is a social enterprise. Social enterprise is a business that also has a social purpose. So alongside trying to, break even and keep ourselves afloat financially, we also have social goals. In Loft Kitchen's case, it is the goal of training youth and getting youth into the food industry and customer service industries, hospitality. So we work with a lot of folks who have had little to no job experience, particularly young people and particularly LGBT plus folks who often struggle in workplaces to find comfort and to feel valued and to present as they'd like to present. So those are sort of our unique purposes, and we have youth learn how to serve coffees and how to bake, how to do lunch items, and we also do catering that they learn about. So we were originally on Bloor Street at Bloor and Ossington, and then when George Chuvalo opened, we moved Loft Kitchen up here. We run mostly on grant funding, so the business does not break even yet, but that is always kind of the goal, and we work towards that, while also recognizing that being an employment training enterprise takes time and resources that an average business doesn't have to work with. So, our goals are both social and financial.
Tour of the building. I know I've been in the building, so we can walk around.
Give everybody a tour of the building and kind of see our front of the house stuff, and just gonna see what we do in the building as well. So if anybody's interested, let us know. We wouldn't mind giving them a tour of the building. Yeah.
Hey, we just had a question about how to support the center. So we are up on, you can look on our website, and there's a Canada Helps link to donate. You can also come in person and do that. While we do take lots of in-kind donation, and we're grateful for lots of them, we also appreciate financial donations because they allow us to do sort of what's needed at the time with that donation. Whereas all of our grant funding, for example, is targeted to a specific purpose, and donations can be non-discretionary, so we can kind of choose, discretionary, so we can choose what to do with them. So they're always helpful for us. I missed a question, I think, not about support. Yes, so we have not yet offered seniors programs. We were just about to open a program for sort of Spanish-speaking seniors, actually, before the pandemic came over, and then those folks haven't been able to come to the center. But we are going to pick up that conversation again once the pandemic is under control, and would like to do a seniors drop-in. We were looking at sort of a once-a-week social support, sort of a potluck or a meal program, something super easy to access. The building is very accessible. We've got an elevator, and our facilities are all physically accessible, so that helps with seniors programming, of course. And if you are interested in helping to plan a seniors drop-in, we would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you because it is an area that we're looking to do more with. I mean, I guess I was going to say. Take your camera and go around. Doesn't how much time you have.
It's on my butter tart right now. And then I do have to let them cool for about 3 minutes just to get them out of the shelf. But I do use a cookie rack so that way they all cool off evenly. And I use a spreader to just kind of scoop around the cup. And that way, any of the sugar that is crystallized and kind of burnt into the side, you can kind of grip it with this. Yes. So again, we can offer a tour building just so you get to see the premises. We do before or pre-COVID and during COVID, we were trying to see if we could rent the space as well. We do space rentals. Obviously, right now, because we're still in the lockdown, we don't, but we are able to book ahead of time if that's something that anybody is interested in. Do you want to talk about some of the space that we have available for rental?
Does your kitchen operate like a regular restaurant? I'm going to pass to Mar to answer that question.
We operate more like a regular coffee shop. So we do have a coffee shop program. So we offer specialty coffee drinks, pastries, in the small kitchen item menu. So sandwiches, soups, those kind of items. During the weekends, we do try to do a workout Friday almost every Friday. If you're not in the mailing list, please, I'm going to actually put in my email at the end of this. So that way, if you want to be added into the mailing list, we send out a weekly menu for the Workout Fridays. It's more like a family style dinner. Last week we did chicken wings and tater tots. The week before we did fish tacos, and we have done all sort of items like an Italian pasta dinner or a Southern night. And then on Saturdays we also tried to do a brunch. So yesterday, our new coworker Lily, she did an amazing Cuban fusion. She's actually half Cuban, half Jamaican, so she brought out her roots, and then she made such an amazing breakfast. And we had really great feedback about it. And also, we do a farmers market whenever we can. Obviously, right now because of the weather, it's all up and down. Oop, my butter turns ready. 1 second.
Hi there. We have a question about the rail path. So we are at right beside the West Toronto rail path, and any of you who use that know that it sees a lot of traffic, especially over this pandemic time. Lots of bikes, lots of dogs. Folks out for walks when there aren't a lot of other places to go. So the center is right off the rail path, and so we do see a lot of traffic from the rail path, which reminds me actually that we are in the process of purchasing the right stuff to set up a station for bike repair, sort of the way they have at those GTC stations. They often have a pump and a sort of basic set of tools that folks can use to do quick fixes to their bikes. And we're going to set that up for this summer in front of the rail path, recognizing that a lot of folks are on bikes, and we want to do that and make sure that they have, somewhere to tinker, and also a quick stop to use a washroom, which we recognize over the pandemic has been hard to find. So we are happy to, to provide that sort of pit stop this summer. We've got a new ice cream freezer on the way, which we're super excited about for the summer. And a milkshake machine, actually, which was donated by a restaurant owner in the neighborhood. And so excited to start shakes and ice cream. We made homemade popsicles last year. The youth constructed some recipes and made some homemade popsicles. So it's going to be a busy summer, both in the rail path and in front of our building, hopefully in the building too. But we are looking forward to seeing you all when the weather is good. For you, when you're not making your own butter tart.
Oh, actually, I know there's a place, and I honestly cannot remember, but they sell the best butter tart cake. I've ever had, and I think it's somewhere on Dundas West. And I stopped once, and I got it off a fluke, and I cannot remember where it was. So if you guys have an idea where this butter tart cake is from, please let me know because I cannot find it. Like I cannot find it, and I know it was somewhere near Dundas and Doverport area, but I still not find this butter tart cake place. It's been bugging me. It's been troubling my mind. I've slept like I lost sleep over this. I need to find this butter tart cake. So if anybody knows where it is, please let me know. And I'm gonna show you the end result. So here are the butter tarts, and you can see all the crystallization on the top. They're still a little bit soft. They do need a couple minutes to set, but if you can see, I can just pull them right out. And I'm actually gonna place them right here. And I'm just gonna let them cool and let them set. And they will need about 15 minutes once you pull them off the tray to be able to bite into it. But I'm not gonna make you wait that long. I'm also trying to get this one out. I bake him on a regular home oven. I will bring him at 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes. Obviously, you want to double check, make sure that they're not being burnt. I know everybody's oven works a little bit different. So yes, I will check about every 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'm gonna come closer and I'm gonna show you what you want the crust to look like. So you want it. Sorry. So you can see that it's super buttery, flaky. It might still a little bit soft, but it's still like you can see it flaking off. And yes, and that's how we make the butter tarts at the George Chuvalo Center. I often have them part of the farmers market, and I will be making them again this weekend coming up for the farmers market. So yes, thank you so much for being part of our class. I know it wasn't smooth, but thank you for being patient and hanging on with us and asking so many questions. If you have any questions about how we can, accommodate any, activities coming up, or if you want to have any input or what you want to see from the center, please also email us. Julia, would you like to say anything before we go?
Thank you so much for being here, Ola. I want to say to Zara, who asked, that I love butter tarts with as many raisins as you can pack into the butter tart. So, Mar uses 5, 1 per bite. I would put like 30 in mine, and it ends up being more like a mincemeat pie than like a butter tart. I want to tell you all that the center is so open to community suggestions, to community collaborations. If there's something in the neighborhood that you would like to see, if you would like us to do something out of the center or on a holiday, or you want to do something with your kids and you want to integrate the community, we always want to hear from you. We love to sort of collaborate with community. So please come and talk to us. You can call the center 416-538-8080. The mailing list for Locked Kitchen is lockedkitchen@conc.ca, which is Christy Ossington Neighborhood Center. So lockedkitchen@conc.ca. We're at 50 Sousa Mendes in the Junction Triangle. You can find us online. We are active on Facebook and Instagram, and we look forward to meeting any of you we haven't already met in the near future. Thank you so much.
And we want to thank everyone who joined us today, but we especially want to thank Mar and Julia for just the loveliest Sunday morning. We enjoyed that so much, and I hope that you did too. We have a lot more events and walks to do today, and we invite you all to visit us at janeswalkfestivalto.com. And yeah, let's have a great Sunday of Janes Walk. Anyway, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.